I will refer the witness to Article 3 of the Constitution and Article 258 of the Constitution. He can begin with Article 3. I want him to read it aloud, Honorable Chair. You can read aloud.
Defense of this Constitution. Every person has an obligation to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. And then 258, which is in chapter 17, enforcement of this Constitution. Every person has the right to institute court proceedings, claiming that this Constitution has been contravened or is threatened with the contravention.
Okay. Paragraph 2.
In addition to a person acting in their own interests, court proceedings under clause 1 may be instituted by a person acting on behalf of another person who cannot act in their own name, a person acting as a member of or in the interest of a group or a class of persons, a person acting in the public interest, or D, an association acting in the interest of one or more of its members.
So, from those two provisions, any person can bring proceedings to enforce the Constitution?
Yes, yes.
And that confirms, or rather, in what capacity then did you bring these proceedings?
I brought them from a personal capacity. Of course, I carry all those other identities as a priest and feelings when who I am is attacked, but I carry it as a person and a citizen who cares that there are people who may not be able to even read when something is wrong. From a community psychologist who I am, I can tell when something is wrong, and the Constitution gives me reason to say something isn't right here.
Honorable Chair, I would want this Honorable Committee and the Honorable Chair to take judicial notice of the fact that this committee sits as a high court. So when Article 258 refers to court proceedings, it would include this committee, which sits as a high court for purposes of this proceedings.
Raise your voice.
I'm saying, Honorable Chair,
judicial notice
of the fact that this Honorable Committee sits as a high court for purposes of these proceedings. So Article 258 would extend to this committee.
Honorable Chair.
Go on.
Further,
sorry, there's a small objection there.
Honorable Chair, we wanted to find out whether that's an issue we should have an occasion to address. It's a point of law, but it's an issue of law that even goes to the jurisdiction of this committee and the scope of the work as an investigative body of the Parliament. We had desired to receive guidance from the Chair whether we should canvass that as an issue. In what capacity is the members, honorable members of this committee sitting? Are they investigating, or are they here to hear a matter of a nature of a constitutional petition that should have been filed in the High Court? I think it's important we have clarity on that. Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I think it is the entire case of the governor that this is a quasi-judicial process. And they have been on record saying that many times in these proceedings. So it is, in fact, Article 258 does not relate to filing of constitutional petitions because those are provided for in Article 22 of the Constitution. So any person can bring proceedings, whether in the court or even at the assembly or even in this chamber, because for purposes of impeachment proceedings, this committee sits as a high court. And we were told in the morning that it can even summon witnesses to give evidence before this committee. So I hope that clears the air.
Thank you, Counsel. Have you finished addressing me on 258? Yes. Have you finished addressing me on 258?
Yes, I'm done with 258, Honorable Chair.
Where were you in 2010? You.
I was in class 8, Honorable Chair.
Class 8. In 2008 is when this constitution came in force. 2010. Where were you in 2005?
I was in class 3, Honorable
Class
Chair.
3.
Yes.
In 2005, when you were in class 3, I was seated at the Bomas Conference at Bomas of Kenya when we were laying the ground at the Bomas Conference that eventually progressed and gave us this constitution. Since there is a priest in the house, I'll remind you that it doesn't add any bonga points when you preach to a church choir. We were there before you were. We are the creators of Article 258. So what exactly are you looking for by referring to 258?
The point, Honorable Chair, Article 3 of the Constitution, let me begin with Article 3. It provides that any person can defend the Constitution. Any person has a right to do what, okay, not anything, but they can bring proceedings to defend the Constitution. Every person has that obligation. And it speaks to what Council asked in cross-examination, whether the priest is purporting to hold a brief for the CS Agriculture, for the Senator of Meru County, or for the MP Tigania East. So the response, Honorable Chair, is that the priest need not have instructions from the CS Agriculture or from the Senator. Any person aggrieved by the utterances of the governor can bring proceedings to defend the Constitution. That is what Article 3 provides. And Article 258 provides that any person acting in the public interest can bring whatever proceedings to defend the Constitution.
Chair, I think Council has made his point and should now proceed with his. And you can always make submissions at the close of your case on some of those things, so that we make some progress, Chair.
So that the record is not hanging, this is the affidavit by the priest.
Yes.
And in this affidavit, go to paragraph 7. On page 16.
I'm there, Chair.
Yes. It is the evidence of the priest on oath that he is speaking on the issue of verification of the Catholic Church. Yes?
I think the priest is speaking to vilification of various leaders, including the Catholic Church.
Yes, I'm going specifically to the church because you were in this sitting when the priest amended paragraph 7.
Yes.
And said that the issues pertaining to other people mentioned there, Njurinjeke, Senator, MCS, and so on, it is not his evidence. That his evidence is as far as he is concerned. So, since he's speaking on the issue of the church, is it not fair that the lawyers of the governor ask him about matters before this committee pertaining to the verification of the Catholic Church? And the governor is accused, Council, of having, in quotes, falsely accused the Catholic Church for purporting to receive a rent which is not deserved. So in the process, the Council for the Governor has used these proceedings to prove that the property actually doesn't belong to the Catholic Church. And he has put annexes. So how does he run away from there? And then you help him to go and now hide in the Constitution in Article 258. Why can't he just...
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
Article 3 of the Constitution.
Article?
My reference to Article 3 of the Constitution and Article 258
yes,
is in response to the general context of paragraph 7, that the governor has been going around vilifying other leaders. And this has been consistent in the cross-examination of not just this witness, but other witnesses. Perhaps maybe when we come to our closing argument, we'll be able to buttress that point, that indeed our witnesses could have made the allegations he made against the governor of vilifying other leaders without, in fact, they do not need the express permission of those leaders, because it is in defense of the Constitution, and any citizen can do that.
Can I just interject, Chair?
Yeah, I'll give you. Let me finish my flow of thought. So, Counsel, if you may take your seat. Lead counsel, you will have to do your final submissions carefully, because then we have an affidavit which has evidence in paragraph 7 that has been amended by the witness. And yet, the same witness has signed that affidavit. So you drive it nicely during submission. It is not a point of law.
We are guided, Chair.
Yes, yes.
We are guided, and I think the only point my colleague is trying to bring to the attention of everyone, there has been a narrative running since morning that why are you holding brief for so-and-so and he's not complaining? And the only point my colleague was trying to make in this line of questioning is that there is no legal requirement that the persons who are vilified should complain or file a witness statement before you, because if the vilification breaches the Constitution, any person can take up that matter. It doesn't have to be the person who was vilified. In this case, the church. In this case, the senator. In this case, the CS for agriculture, or indeed any of the many people. The only point we are trying to make, Chair, is that, and you forgive us, because as these questions arise both from our adversaries and from the plenary of the Senate, for us, we have a duty to ensure that especially the decision maker, which is the Honorable Committee, understands. If a question is asked that suggests that there is a legal requirement that the senator complains in person and the priest or whoever other witness cannot speak on his behalf, then we have to attempt to show that is not the law. And that's all we're doing. But I'm guided, Chair, when we get to the closing statement, I promise my team will not revisit this issue again so that it doesn't waste more time. We're already so late.
Thank you. I had my Vice Chair and Sifuna, you had issues.
See, Chair, I understand what Council is saying, but you can imagine the predicament you have put us in as a committee when this person under Article 3 says he's going to take up the cause, but when he's on the witness box, when we ask him or when questions are put, he says he cannot speak for the Catholic Church. That is the difficulty that we're in. Yeah. Because you yourself in the morning was asking questions to the governor's team regarding some of the documents that they have produced. You were asking, were these documents available during the period of the impeachment? The questions we're asking ourselves, even as we proceed now, is all these people that are referenced in the father's affidavit are available to you. Are you telling us that you will be calling the diocese or a representative of a diocese so that those questions that council is putting on the question of the ownership of a land can be answered by a person in authority on behalf of the diocese? Because the father, when the question is put to him, he says, no, I cannot answer that on behalf of so-and-so. But that so-and-so is somebody who is available to you, including the senator for Meru, who is our colleague.
Let me tell you, County Assembly of Meru, we will not prove your case for you, but attorneys for the County Assembly of Meru, you could do slightly more. If you thought you wanted to introduce evidence, the evidence should be introduced by the most responsible person. in the Catholic Church, if the priest who you have brought, some of us are Catholics, so we are finding it very difficult. The priest you have brought then says he's not speaking for the Catholic Church. And the governor of Embu, of Meru, never attacked this priest from the evidence. The governor attacked the church. So why didn't you look for a priest, either an administrator, the parish priest, or what, however they are arranged there, to come and confirm to this house that the governor is lying, or rather misleading the house by claiming that they don't deserve rent?
We call this witness because he was present at the event in question. The reason we didn't call the bishop or any of these other people is because they were not present. But I must also point out, we were also working with the constraints we have one day. There is no way we can call 62 witnesses because I told you we have 62 specific allegations. It's just not pragmatic. We had to make certain judgment calls, and I don't think we can fairly be faulted for that. And in this case, the rule, as based on our professional training, is you call the witness who was at the event in question. That is the rationale upon which this particular witness was settled on.
Okay. So, okay, before I give you the vice